Hello, I am Vipin Garg and I'll be speaking in brief about science and technology and international affairs, IR, which you call. Okay, so before I speak, I'll extend Anurag's point. So Anurag was telling you about the budget speech, that you read budget speech, but I would suggest you listen to budget speech. In Rajya Sabha TV, there are a separate playlist with 9 parameters, 9 parts. So you can listen to that budget speech. And the second thing Anurag told you about Uncertain Glory, Amartya Sen and John Dree's book. So I would suggest you read another book also by Jagdish Bhagwati and our Niti Aayog Vice Chairperson, Dr. Arvind Pangadia, India's Tryst with Destiny, so that you get both sides of the coin, because Dr. San's and John Dree's book, I think, is tilted in the favor of socialist policies, which India is currently not following. Okay, so now I'll begin. So my brief is to discuss about science and technology and IR, but I'll talk about general things. So basically, the test series is important because you have to practice answer writing. You will listen to many interviews in which toppers will tell you that they wrote first essay in examination and got 150 marks. They never practiced answer writing and got maybe 450 marks. But let me tell you, they might just get lucky, or they may be extraordinary. And you are not extraordinary. I am not extraordinary. We may not be extraordinary. So we need to practice. Okay, so practice makes you perfect. So if you practice answer writing, you will become perfect. Okay, so answer writing is important. Okay, after answer writing, evaluation is important. So you need, like I told you, you need to get it evaluated by experts who are experts in their respective fields. So like in this test series, university professors should be evaluating your script. But I would also suggest you give your answer scripts to your friends who would evaluate that for you. You read your answers the same evening and you would realize that you have written absolute bullshit. I mean, I used to read my answers and I realized I write absolute bullshit, and then we think we don't get marks. I mean, that's actually true. So do read your answers after writing them, maybe after 5-6 hours. Okay, the second thing about answer writing is that we tend to think, or I used to think, that if I get sufficient knowledge, I would anyway get marks. So this was my third attempt, and even in this attempt, I did not get very good marks in general studies. I had some 380 marks, I think, which were not great if you go by the standards of my rank 20. So the reason is simple. I was lazy. I did not practice answer writing. And practicing answer writing becomes difficult because it's not intellectually challenging. You find it intellectually tough to write what you know. So our thought process tend to go like this. Okay, I'll get sufficient knowledge. I'll read even more and I'll write some like fantastic answer which examiner would just note down in his notebook and would award you marks. Okay. But this might have happened in 80s, 70s, but now there is Google Baba, so examiner knows everything. So he doesn't do that. Second thing is, in the answer, you have to structure the answer well, like everyone hammered this point, that you have to answer your point well. See, the examiner, you have to think from the examiner's perspective. He is evaluating your answer not because he likes evaluating answer sheets. He's evaluating your answer sheet just because he's getting paid some 100, 200, 300, 400 bucks for evaluating your answers. And if you make his work hard, he would obviously award you less marks. So your job is to make his job as simpler as you can. So that's why you have to structure your answer well. Your answer should be coherent. Your handwriting should be legible. So if you would read my answers, you would realize sometimes my handwriting is not legible. After writing 5-6 questions, I start writing in Punjabi. Okay. So again, work on your handwriting if your handwriting is like me. Okay. I mean, this pays. If you get half a marks in every question, you get like 10 marks in every paper, 40 marks in 4 general studies paper, 20 marks in essay, 60 marks. You know what 60 marks? If I had 60 marks more, I would have been ranked 4, I think. Okay. So, I mean, improve on your handwriting. So if I tell you about myself, this was again my third attempt. In first and second attempt, I appeared in interview, did not do very well in general studies. Again, this year also I did not do that great. Okay. So, but what made the difference? I had sufficient knowledge. I mean, even in 2013 and 14, I had great marks in prelims. Okay, general studies paper, I had about 120s. This year I had 140. So I had great marks in prelims. I had ample amount of knowledge, but I just did not write, did not practice. My handwriting was not legible. Okay, this year I made certain improvements. I used to write ABCDs. Okay, so I mean, there are small things that matter, and you wouldn't even know. Like if somebody asked me, okay, what made the difference? 2 साल तक कुछ नहीं हुआ, अचानक 20th रैंक फोड़ दी, क्या हुआ? I don't know. I don't know what happened. So there are very, very small things that matter, and those small things make such a huge difference that you wouldn't even crack mains examination, or you wouldn't get into that 600 rank, and the next year you might even be the topper. You might get rank 1. But these small things would come with practice, and you wouldn't even realize. That's why it's important to practice answer writing. Okay, then the third thing is discipline. Like Anurag said, those who are staying in old Rajendra Nagar need to voluntarily opt out of flexibility. I would say everyone needs to opt out of flexibility. I mean, discipline is the key. Discipline is the key in every sphere, in any sphere. So, right answer, take the test when it's due. Take the test at 9 to 12 or 2 to 5, like the UPSC. Take the test like you are taking UPSC examination. Okay, you have to simulate the examination like condition. Okay, so the purpose of test series is not to gain knowledge, it's to evaluate yourself, it's to get yourself ready for the examination like condition. So in this test series, you would see, I mean, UPSC is unpredictable. So like they say, we simulate UPSC, we frame UPSC like questions, but nobody knows what UPSC is going to ask. So like in this prelims, they asked about 70-75 questions for current affairs. So maybe in this means examination also they might do that. Or they might not ask a single question from current affairs. We don't know. Okay, so the purpose of test series is you get acquainted to all kind of variation. So you might get very easy paper, very difficult paper, question जिसमें बिल्कुल हवा नहीं लग रही, question जो एकदम लड्डू question है. Okay, तो और टेस्ट सीरीज के बाद, टेस्ट देने के बाद आपका प्रोफेसर आपकी इवेल्युएट करेंगे, बट यू ऑल्सो हैव टू इवेल्युएट योरसेल्फ. यू ऑल्सो हैव टू इवेल्युएट योर फ्रेंड्स आंसर शीट, बिकॉज व्हेन यू इवेल्युएट योर फ्रेंड्स आंसर शीट, यू थिंक फ्रॉम द एग्जामिनर्स पर्सपेक्टिव. तब तुमको पता चलेगा ना बेकार हैंडराइटिंग लिखती तो कितना बेकार लगता है. ठीक है, ओके, हाँ ठीक है. तो लेट्स कम टू मेन टॉपिक. इट वाज अबाउट साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी. So in science and technology, UPSC tend to ask general questions. So before 2013, when pattern changed, UPSC used to ask that 2 markers on science and technology. So कोई नया planet discover हो गया, exo planet, तो उसके बारे में पूछ लेंगे. कोई नया drug discover हो गया तो उसके बारे में पूछ लेंगे. 2 pointer. But UPSC now doesn't ask those sort of questions. So now you need to focus on analysis. Like in 2013 question on fixed dose combination was asked. So see, it's a medical science question basically. Okay, it was very easy for me, but may not be easy for those who had no idea. But if you analyze that fixed dose combination was asked because that year National Pharmaceutical Authority was National Pharmaceutical Authority had that, but they regulate the pricing of drugs. So in that pricing of drugs, fixed dose combinations were not included. So UPSC took that part from that and asked about fixed dose combination, pros and cons of fixed dose combination, and why they are recently in news. So they were in news because fixed dose combinations were not covered in the price control regulation. So similarly, like this year question on robotics was asked, where can robots be used, or patent privacy or patent piracy. All these questions. So basically you have to focus on the analysis part, on broad themes. You don't have to go into detail, but you also need to remember a few examples. Okay, so like if the question on use of robots in hazardous industry was asked this year, you have to cite examples. You have to give a lot of examples. So you could have given the example of Fukushima disaster if you knew that robots were used there. Okay, you can cite similar examples, but you don't need to get into the nitty-gritties. So if question on 3D printing is asked, you don't get into the nitty-gritty of 3D printing, but where all can 3D printing be used? So a question on drug resistance is asked, you don't need to become a doctor. If you write like a doctor, trust me, you'll get 0 mark. Because the examiner will not be a doctor, examiner will be a general studies person. So he would not understand what you have written. So you have to write like a layman. So see, like Gaurav Agarwal, 2013 topper, he had 300 marks in economics, optional. And he did not even have 100 marks in general studies paper 3, which is full of economics. Okay, so you cannot write like, you have to write like layman in UPSC paper, and in general studies, science and technology portion, you just have to focus on broad themes, on analysis part. Okay, you don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of everything. So science reporter पढ़ने की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है? So your Indian Express, The Hindu, current affairs, and the material you get from your coaching classes, whichever you have joined, would suffice. Okay, about IR, international relations. So you need to, I would suggest, though no question is asked from the general thing, I would suggest read a book. Any book you like on IR. Read NCERT or read a book by any author. So VP, Rajiv Sikri or VP Dutt, any book you like. So because reading is important, because that gives you a background on international relations, how international relations work. So question will be asked from the current affairs, like Anurag said, you need to read Lakshmikant. No question is now directly asked, write the definition of money bill or provisions of money bill, but you need to know about money bill if you want to answer a question on Aadhaar bill. Similarly, you need to know about the tenets of Indian foreign policy, how Indian foreign policy has evolved over the years to answer the question on current affairs. So if the question on, very simple question on India-Africa relation was asked, if you knew about the foreign policy angles, how it has evolved from 1950s, you would have easily answered the question. So I would suggest do read a book, just go through that book. Any book you like, you don't have to take any notes, you don't have to read that book again. You can read that book now, it will take you what, 6 hours, 8 hours, and just throw the book in the dustbin. You never have to read that book again. Okay, but do read that book once. Any book, VP Dutt, Sikri, or any book you like, or at least read NCERT. Okay, after that the questions will be mainly from the current affairs. All the questions on foreign policy are from the current affairs. So you need to analyze every aspect well. And in the answer, you have to write all aspects. So strategic aspect, economic aspect, military aspect, culture, people to people, economic. And you have to think from that perspective when you answer a question. Also, as Lakshya said, you have to answer every question from Indian perspective. Because question is asked from Indians, so they, if Brexit happened, a question on Brexit is asked, okay, and nothing is asked about India, even then you have to write a line or two about India. Because if it doesn't matter to India, there's no point in asking this question to UPSC aspirants, IAS aspirants. Okay, and the resources would be mainly your current affairs newspapers. Okay, your current affair booklets given by whichever coaching you would join, and 2 Rajya Sabha TV discussions, India's World and World Panorama. Okay, if you do them well, they would be sufficient. You don't need to read World Affairs. Okay, some people would suggest World Affairs. I never read World Affairs. You don't have to read World Affairs. Again, in international relations also, you will have to structure your answer well. You will have to answer from all the perspectives. You will need to take care of Indian side. Okay, and if you can draw certain maps, okay, like a question on Iran, Afghanistan, similar thing is asked. If you can draw a rough map, a rough outline, okay, this is Chabar port, near this is what China is working on, Gwadar port, okay, and some Central Asian countries, and okay, so this is Delaram, Jaranj highway. Okay, that would just, I mean, make your answer look better. Or page bhi bhar dega, obviously. Okay. Okay. So, if you can draw the diagrams, okay, again, diagrams ki baat aati hai, so you cannot go in the examination hall and think you would be able to draw the diagrams. You will have to practice this in the test series, not only in test series, ghar par. Okay, so do practice drawing rough maps of India, rough map of world. It would also help you in geography. Okay, wherever you can draw maps, just draw. I mean, like, मतलब यूपीएससी में वही लगता है जो 10th क्लास में लगता था ना. आपको अपने आंसर को सजाना होता है. Like, again, okay, I would be speaking a very sexist sentence. Why girls get higher marks? I mean, it's not that they are intelligent or anything, but okay, I wanted to say they are not more intelligent or anything. They are equal to us. So, but they present their answers well. They structure their answers well. They draw a lot of diagrams. Okay, and we think we are superior. We think we can just impress the examiner by our handwriting, our content. But obviously, we cannot do that. So, do practice drawing diagrams. Again, I did not do that. I suffered. Okay, so do practice drawing diagrams. Okay, maps, they are important in geography, in history, in international relations. Okay, where you can draw flowcharts. Like if you have less time in international relations question, you will simply write a strategic, economic, cultural, people to people and all these and give a brief conclusion. And a few more points, general points. Your first few questions should be written well because examiners are humans. They think like us. So if you have written your first few answers well, they think you are intelligent and obviously they would be biased and they would award better marks in next few questions. Okay, I mean, this actually happens. This is a proven psychological research. You can read it on Thinking Fast and Slow book by a Nobel laureate. I've forgotten his name. But this is actually proven. Okay, so in first few questions, you can take 10 minutes. Like first 3 questions, you can take 30 minutes. But after that, you have to take 8.5 minutes to answer every question. Okay, and do try to answer all the questions. Even if you know something about a question, do try to answer a question. Don't answer a question. Answer a question at least in 100 words. Don't go beyond 200 words because if you go beyond 200 words, you won't be able to answer all the questions. Okay, I mean, these are just some basic things. Baki, I mean, be disciplined. That's the key. If you are disciplined, if you write the test on time, if you analyze your mistakes, if you evaluate your friend's answer sheet, if you get your answer sheet evaluated by your friends, I mean, don't be afraid of mistakes. Don't be afraid of criticism. Take honest criticism. I mean, जैसे Insights for India, IAS बाबा नाम नहीं लेना चाहिए फिर भी ले रहा हूँ. तो चलता है ना. Review my answer. Okay, very good answer. Very good answer. I mean, that does not help. You get false hopes. Even if you write pathetic answer, they say very good answer. I mean, you need to have somebody who can say you have written a bullshit. Okay, so if you write crappy answers, you need to be told you have written crappy answers. If you write fantastic answer, you need to be told you have written fantastic answer. But even then, you can always do better, obviously. Okay, so be disciplined, be focused, always write test on time. Okay, always write test on time again. And after the test, I mean, don't focus on marks. How many marks are you getting? But think if you are improving yourself. Over the last test, if you have improved yourself, not marks, but are you repeating the same mistakes again and again? Or are you committing new mistakes? If you are committing new mistakes, why are you committing them? Okay, and that would help. I think that would be sufficient. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.